here from Live by Design, and I want to talk about the greatest design, the ultimate goal that I think 100% of us have, and that's happiness. No matter how you get to that happiness, no matter what your design along the way is, the ultimate goal is always happiness. And more specifically today, I want to talk about what do we do during those tough times, right? If everything's going well, then happiness isn't an issue, and you don't even need to really watch this video. But how do you deal with the tough times? You know, those little things that just really get to you, and how can you make it through on a more positive note? So I've got three things that I like to do in my own life that I'd like to share with you guys today. The very first one is to breathe and be present in the moment. This is really tough. Whenever something happens that just really nags you and gets to you, it's often our first reaction to just say something real quick or do something real quick that we often regret later on. And so by just taking the time to just take a second to breathe, think about the situation, and then deal with it, often it leads to much better, longer lasting results rather than whatever that quick reaction was. So what I do, more specifically in my life, is I breathe and I tell myself this story. This is a trigger story, at least that's what I call it, a trigger story, of how I deal with these situations. So my trigger story is a little child in some other country, and every morning he wakes up and he has to try to figure out how he's going to get enough water to just survive through the day. Like he wakes up with tears in his eyes every day thinking, God, I hope that I get enough water just to live. And this is a very emotional and visual story for me that I came up with. So every single time something bad happens in my life, I think about this little child, and I say, are my problems really that bad? And obviously the answer is no. Whatever happened to me is really not that big a deal, and it calms me down, and I can sit and then deal with the situation at hand. Funny story on that. My mother, I love her to death. She'll call me up and she'll tell me stories of the fence guy isn't on time, or the pool, this or that doesn't work. I don't know, the scupper's messed up or whatnot. And she'll get furious about these things, you know, these problems. And I always tell her, I say, Mom, think about the little kid. Think about the little kid. And usually that calms her down. So find your own trigger story. You know, what's you can steal mine or come up with your own. That way when something bad happens to you, you can just stop for a second, think about your story. It'll give you time to calm down and react, and then you can deal with whatever's going on. The second thing that I do all the time is I always try to remind myself, no matter what's happening in life, things are happening for me, not to me. Remember that. For me, not to me. What this does is it takes you out of the role of playing the victim in any situation and instead puts you in a role of control. If things are always happening to you, then you have this feeling of just helplessness and not knowing what to do. But if things are happening for you, then you can control the situation and how you're going to go about dealing with it. Which actually moves us into the third reason of things that I do that help me remain happy during tough times is I always try to remember, what can I learn from this situation? No matter how bad the situation is, there's always a lesson that can be learned. Whether it's how you deal with the situation itself or maybe how you deal with yourself in dealing with that situation. For instance, a while back, I was in the car and there was this horrible turn on the road, and the light had turned red, and I hit my brakes and I stopped, and I saw a girl coming up behind me, and I knew it was going to happen. And so I pretty much just sat there and I said, oh, here we go. And sure enough, she hit me. It wasn't a big deal. It was under 5 miles an hour. But I stopped there for a second, checked myself. I said, okay, I'm fine. We're not really in any danger. I tried to breathe. I thought about my trigger story, and then I thought, what can I learn from this situation? What can I do? Now, there's nothing I could have really done with the car. I can't redesign the road, and going through the red light would just be kind of silly. But I could learn how to deal with myself and how to deal with this other person. Too often, especially, you guys know, if you're in some kind of small car accident, the person jumps out of the car and they start yelling and it's horrible. I said, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to do something different. So I got out of the car and I asked her about 3 or 4 times, so she was shooken up and really nervous. I said, are you okay? Are you okay? What's going on? And once I calmed her down, we both looked at our cars. I said, look, nothing's really happened here. There's no real damage. Let's just let's calm down and let's just move on about our day. And of course she agreed, and that was the that was the end of it. That was the end. So really, I learned there of how to deal with a situation that's high stress. Anyways, those are the 3 things that I do every single time some kind of situation comes up, and that's how I deal with it. Because ultimately, the only control we have is how we think, view, and react to the situations around us. So why not make it a more positive note? Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Please comment, like, share below. Let us know how you dealt with some kind of situation in your own life and how you got through it.